Good evening and happy Sabbath, members. I want to speak to you this evening about the coronavirus and the impact that it's had on our ministry. And right off the bat, some of you might be wondering, what is this portrait that I'm holding over here? Well, if you look at it closely, let me see if I can just get it so you can see everything. This was given to me in 2016 after an evangelistic campaign in Reenendal, that's in the Southern Cape, and we were there for 2 weeks. And one of the persons who attended the campaign was so appreciative of all that was said that he decided to paint this and give it to me, and it's been hanging in my study ever since. And one thing that's very interesting about paintings, especially if I can just put this up here, what you saw if you had a good look was two people standing in front, and that's what they as painters call the foreground. But there's also another perspective, and that's the background. So as we currently have all these restrictions in place, we know that the foreground that we are facing is the Disaster Management Act, the coronavirus that's been spreading. That's the foreground. We've got all these limitations. We trying to social distance, to try to contain and even prevent the spread of the virus. That's the foreground. That's what we're seeing each and every day. When you look on your Facebook posts, your wall, you look at Instagram, WhatsApp messages floating around, the headlines on the news. It's in your face, and that's why it's the foreground. But I want us to focus on the background. So when you look at the background of a portrait, you'll see the little things, the details that puts everything into perspective. Because there can be no foreground without a background. And as Seventh Adventists, we know that we are in a great controversy. I want to encourage you this evening from the book of Numbers when we read chapters 22 to 24. We know that this is the story of Balaam. And Balaam is employed by Balak to curse the Israelites who've just left Egypt. They're on their way to Canaan. And the king of Moab is very, very scared. And that's why he employs Balaam. And he says, Balaam, I'm going to give you riches and honor, wealth, fame, everything that you want. Just curse these people for me. And when you read the chapters from chapter 22 to 23, 24 included, you'll see that Balaam tries to curse, but he can only bless because God's blessing is upon his people. And what's so interesting about the story of Balaam is that when Moses and the Israelites are busy moving, they're camping, they're on their way to Canaan, they have no idea what's happening with Balaam and Balak. They have no idea that the king has employed a backslidden prophet to come and curse them. They have no idea that Satan is trying to destroy them. They have no idea that God is sustaining them and blessing them and using this story, this person, this Moabite king, and all his plans to try and foil them and to stop them for their favor. So Moses and the Israelites, they don't know what's going on. As far as they're concerned, they headed to Canaan, everything is going well. But in the background, we see God working to prevent Balaam cursing them. So there's always a foreground, but I want us to focus on the background. Yes, we have coronavirus. Yes, we are restricted in terms of our gathering and our worship. We are restricted with our movements. People are panicking. That's the foreground. But let us take a moment to remember the background. That God is working. God is in control. God is still able. And God will deliver us. So no matter where you are, remember that this is but the foreground that we are seeing, but let us focus on the background, that our Almighty God is working in our favor.